Make sure my comments are on. Let me know if you can hear me and where you're watching from. Now, it's just me today, guys, because Dan is on his way to Utah to get another load of donkeys. Now, if you guys don't know already, we are now officially a Forever branded adoption center. So you can come here to pick out your donkey. Now, sometimes we'll have Mustangs, but our thing, if you guys don't know already, it's really the donkeys. So that'll be our main focus. However, donkeys will be here mostly, and then sometimes we will have Mustangs, okay? Now, today I want to start off with just thanking our members. I want to thank you guys for being here. So many of you guys are showing up on a regular basis, and whether you are quietly listening or asking questions, sharing your stories, I really appreciate you being here. So thank you guys so much. And I want to just keep watching so I don't miss any comments. And I also want to thank our members. Hello from Idaho. Hi. Check you out. Montana Countryman is watching. Thanks for watching. So I want to thank our members, including our newest members. We have Stephen Adamski and Banjo are some of our newest members. Thanks for joining. Your membership helps us to keep offering like more videos, additional resources, and just keep getting that word out. I think that donkeys are so misunderstood. So it's kind of like my mission just to help the donkeys and the people have a better relationship together. And today we're going to be, oh wait, I have a motivational moment too. Yesterday we talked about keeping warm, staying motivated, which we talk about every time, right? So one thing that comes up is staying warm. These here, they're like silk. And when Hannah got me my first one of these, they're like wild rags, I think they're called. When she got my first one, I didn't realize you could wear it underneath a hoodie, like just with everyday stuff. And it's silk. Like, is that really helpful? They are so warm. So get yourself some of these. They're great stocking stuffers. And they really help me to be able to stay outside longer. Another thing we talked about was like an accountability partner. And so what have you guys done for accountability? Having a partner, whether you're being accountable by coming onto my Go Lives, watching videos, but find a partner to be accountable with. When we're accountable, we're going to show up for our donkeys better. We're going to be thinking about how to help them understand how to communicate well with them, which is an obstacle for all of life. And that's kind of what we're going to be talking about a lot today. Now, I have a script because you guys know how I am with my type A personality, right? But we want to be intentional with our donkeys, and being accountable is a great way to start being intentional. We can check in, ask questions, give ideas, have that dialogue that goes back and forth between yourself and somebody else. And I think that's a great way to help the communication with our donkeys. So today we're going to be talking about responsibility, especially for responsibility for those that depend on us. Now, guys, our donkeys, our horses, our mules, they depend on us for everything that they get. So we're going to start off talking about working animals and how this applies to more than just our animals. It applies to life, marriage, work, our friendships. It's like so broad. But our animals can really help teach us this because they don't speak our language. We have to work on our communication so much, and we need to help them want to be with us. So the foundation of all of this is when we're working with our donkeys, mules, or our horses, responsibility, it goes long beyond just safety. We need to be keeping them from getting hurt, but it's about caring well for our animals all the time. Now, caring well looks like paying attention, not that their tack stays on, but that it fits well. Not that they have enough good or food, but they have good food or they're eating at regular times. Remember how their digestive system works. They're grazing animals and they need to have that food for their digestive system to function properly. So we want their tack to fit properly, not just stay on. We want to make sure their meals and their water, it's thought out, not just that they have it, but that we're thinking it out so that they're having enough time to graze so their body can work properly. Staying on top of their feet and their vet care. And then noticing how they're feeling physically and mentally. And both of them matter. And sometimes your donkey might kind of freeze up or not be as interactive with you. And maybe they're having an off day. Maybe they're mentally not with you. Maybe they're missing their friend. Maybe they don't understand what you're trying to tell them. So it doesn't mean that we eliminate stress. Stress is part of life. And learning how to deal with stress creates really good coping skills for our donkeys. Work is work. We're going to have stress. Remember, we can have good stress and bad stress, but they're both stress. So you can be so excited about life, and then you're like that energy, it goes up. And guess what? Our energy affects our donkeys, our mules, and our horses. But there's a difference between healthy stress and becoming sour. So that's an important distinction. We can give our donkeys a little bit of stress and help them work through it, and now they have better coping skills. But if we don't pay attention to how they're feeling and we're kind of a jerk with them, like maybe we don't give them a good deal, like maybe I'm riding and I slide my hand down the reins so they know something is going to happen, or my posture changes. I could kind of be slouched in my saddle, or I could sit up straight in my saddle. That's all like little pre-cues, right? Now, if we don't give a donkey those pre-cues, they will become sour. And if it happens enough, they're not going to enjoy being around you. People have asked me before if donkeys are forgiving, and I think to some extent they absolutely are forgiving, but you've got to be willing to do the work to show them that you are a good person to be around. They're not going to take somebody else's word for it. They're going to take it based on how you act towards them, and if you're paying attention to their physical and mental or emotional needs. So we need to be able to pay attention to when things hurt on them. Maybe they're sore because you've been doing harder rides than normal, or maybe they're overloaded emotionally because, boy, with a wild donkey on our 20 acres here, like I could have something going good with them, but if there's anything happening on our 20 acres or across the highway, like all bets are off, right? So that's just them being overloaded. Like, oh my gosh, I'm scared. I see something in a distance. Is it a mountain lion? Am I going to get ate? Like, I think I trust you, but are you a good enough leader to keep me safe if that is a mountain lion over there? They don't know yet. They need to have enough experiences with you to know that you will keep them safe no matter what you're facing. When we skip steps and we ask them to carry the consequences, we're not creating a good relationship and bond with our animals. So keeping these things in mind, it's caring for our animals. It doesn't mean lowering the expectations. It means adjusting for where they're at today. That way we're not creating problems that are going to show up later on. And trust me, with these donkeys, these mules and horses, they will show up later on. So the core principle of all of this is animals teach us something important. Responsibility means taking one step ahead of those who depend on you. It's thinking about that. So if Dan is getting ready to do water and I notice that the hose isn't in the right trough, he could be hooking at the hose and I could anticipate that water, the end of it needs to be moved to a different water trough. Or it could be working with our donkey and noticing that the horses across the highway are in a different spot and adjusting my expectations so that I'm creating that bond. I am making sure that they know that my resume is strong enough to be their leader and to lead them into something good. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes so I don't forget things. So it will cost us time to do this, guys. It costs time to notice what Dan needs before he tells me what he needs. It costs time to pay attention to what's around me that might be causing my animals to be different than normal. But it is worth it. It's worth it for creating that strong bond that's going to take you to amazing places. Now, an example of this that I've thought about too today when I was thinking about this and trying to get all my thoughts in order for my go live. When Hannah was about 5 years old, I went to my aunt's house to ride Danny Boy. And she was kind of like teaching me how to ride. She's like the most awesome aunt ever. If you guys can have an aunt that cool, you're lucky, because I am. So went over there and Hannah's near 5 and my cousin is I don't know, 5 years older than her or so. And I kind of viewed it as just those guys playing. So my aunt and I went and ride. And then when we got back, I said thank you to my cousin, and I didn't think anything more of it. But then the next time I went over to ride with my aunt and we were tacking up, my aunt says, hey, when Chantel watches Hannah, if you could give her a few dollars, that would be great. Like, it doesn't need to be much, but if you give her a few dollars, she did it last time for me. And, I felt horrible for not thinking of that. That was me looking into the future. They're not just playing together like friends. She's actually watching Hannah for me so I can go do something fun. And to give her a few dollars, well, heck yeah, she deserves that. I was grateful to my aunt that she came to me with it. She didn't make me feel bad for not seeing that need. She handled it in a way that empowered me to do the right thing instead of making me feel like a heel for having made a poor choice. And that's what we need to bring to our donkeys. When they don't do something that we want them to do, we don't want to be like, you, blah, 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 blah. We want to help them be feeling empowered to make the right choice. So we don't want to shame them. We don't want to make them feel bad. We just want to point out and help them find the right answer. What hit me was realizing that Chantel wasn't just playing with Hannah, right? She was watching, and she deserved to have some kind of compensation. But boy, am I grateful to my aunt for helping me learn the lesson and not make me feel poorly about it. That's the kind of leadership that I want to be there for my surroundings, my donkey, my work, my kids, my husband. So my husband, he's like the leader, right? But that doesn't mean I just shut my mouth and don't pay attention if I see a need that he doesn't notice. We need to stand up for our animals. We need to stand up for what is right. So let's bring it back to the animals more, right? The same mindset we want to bring to caring for our animals. Sometimes it's not about someone caring, it's about something not being noticed yet. Okay? I was just looking to see, I thought I saw a comment. Okay. So helping animals means noticing the small things early: fit, timing, workload, mental state, so we don't create bigger issues. Life, marriage, work, it applies outside of animals too, right? So in marriage, responsibility doesn't disappear just because there's a leader that's not ourselves. So we both still need to carry responsibility for care, honesty, and setting up each other for success. Now, think about that with your donkeys. We want to set them up for success. If I notice that Dan has his coffee cup and he likes an ice cube in it so it doesn't burn his mouth, and let's say I forget to put an ice cube in there. Well, I should tell him, right? I don't want him to burn his mouth when he takes a gulp of his coffee. If you notice something, make sure you point it out, okay? Then if he takes a sip of his coffee and burns his mouth, he was warned, right? So responsibility, it doesn't disappear because you're not the leader. In workplace, it looks like not skipping steps, not cutting corners, not setting someone else to fail because it's inconvenient to slow down, okay? Slow down, make sure people know all the information, set up the people around you for success. That's gonna be the people that I wanna hang out with, right? Who do you wanna hang out with? Somebody who's gonna help set you up for success or make you feel like a heel for missing something. So I'm sharing this not because I've mastered it, guys. I still make mistakes. This is something I'm striving for. I'm sharing it because responsibility, real responsibility, it's something we all need to grow into. Whether it's animals, family, or work, it usually means thinking one step ahead for the people that depend on us. Remember, our donkeys, they completely depend on us, okay? So now as we wrap up, I want to say thank you again. And yesterday, for my part of my motivation part, you guys remember who my favorite author is? It's Mark Radshid. Mark Radshid is my favorite author. And I have a link for this book, Whole Heart, Whole Horse. I think this goes really good with today's topic, right? It's about building trust with the horse and rider. It's a mutual thing, right? When we're working with our donkeys, whether we're working on gentling them, which like being okay eating from our hand or eating in our presence or touching them, haltering them, it's a mutual thing, right? They could turn and kick and bite. They could hurt us. They're big, they're strong, they're fast when they need to be or want to be. But they're worried about whether or not we're going to eat them. It's a mutual thing. So don't ever think that it's one-sided. If something's going really well, what did you do to help it go well? And if something needs improvement, what can you adjust to help it be successful? So that's my message for today. I hope you guys enjoy it. I don't see a lot of questions, but I suppose it's not like really a question thing. It's just something to think about. And we can always be improving and working towards improving on this. So being responsible, setting up the people around us, the animals around us for success, and making sure they know that their welfare is high on our priority list. If you guys have any questions, I always want questions, your comments or stories, but I appreciate you being here. So we will be back tomorrow at 6:30. And I don't know what we're going to talk about. I've been thinking about packing, but maybe I should wait for Dan to get home. So Dan went to Utah, Idaho. For sure, he's getting 10 donkeys for the Forever Brown program. He might get a couple more. We'll see. So he'll be coming back home on Thursday night with between 10 and 12. Thank you. Thank you. And so we're going to have a lot more like videos coming up, and we'll start because these animals are going to be available for adoption, unhandled, untouched, and we'll be gentling some of them for people who want to have an animal who already does the basic stuff, which includes accepting touch, being brushed, haltered, led, picking up their feet, and going into the horse trailer. So those are the things to get them like gentled. And you can adopt an animal that is gentled or untouched for the same price through the BLM. So if you're interested in doing this, head over to the BLM's online corral and you can apply to adopt an animal. When you adopt one, after a year, you would get title from the BLM after they come do a check just to make sure that that animal is being cared for and stuff. And then you get your title and it's officially yours. And the title is kind of a special thing. Like maybe you'd want to put it in a frame or something. So head over to the BLM online corral and get yourself applied to bring home your own wild donkey. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining. I don't see any questions coming up, but we will be back tomorrow, or I will be back tomorrow because Dan's still going to be on the road, and we will talk about something else cool and fun. Thanks for tuning in.